So antagonistic control is different, okay? So what happens in antagonistic control is you actually have two different output signals working on your target, okay? And they are basically going to compete to tell the target what to do, okay? So you can liken this to using both your gas pedal and your brake in your car, right? So your gas pedal is going to tell your car to go, the brake is going to slow it down. If you press down on both of them, which you shouldn't actually be doing when you're driving, but whatever, I think you guys understand the concept, right? If you push on both of them, then the amount of, the speed at which your car goes is going to depend on how much you're pressing on each of them, right? So if you're pressing more on the gas pedal, you're gonna go faster. If you add the brake pedal to that, that's gonna slow you down, okay? So let's take a look at an example here. So in this example, what we have going on is heart rate. We're gonna be looking at heart rate, okay? Heart rate is controlled by two branches of the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so you can see this sympathetic neuron is providing an input into the heart and telling it to, it actually tells the heart to speed up. Okay, and then we have this neuron, the parasympathetic neuron, which tells the heart to slow down. Okay, so if we have more input from our sympathetic neuron than from our parasympathetic neuron, the heart rate is going to increase, okay? In this case, what we have going on is the input from the parasympathetic neuron is stronger than the input from the sympathetic neuron, and that's gonna cause the heart rate to slow down, okay? And I just wanna kind of point out that this is not like a binary situation, right? So it's kind of like a tug of war, right? So the sympathetic nervous system is going to speed up the heart rate. Parasympathetic nervous system is going to slow it down, but they're both, you know, there's kind of this push-pull, and whatever you end up with at the end, or the heart rate that you end up with at the end, is basically the result of this push-pull between these two different output signals, okay? All right, so let's just take a moment now to review our terms, okay? So, and we're gonna do that by looking at this aquarium example here, okay? So what we have going on here is we have like a thermostat system going on in an aquarium where we're trying to maintain the water at a particular temperature, okay? And what happens, excuse me, is that, or the way that this system is set up, is that we have a thermometer sensing the temperature of the water, okay? That thermometer is sending its signal through a wire to the control box. And then the control box is gonna send its signal through a wire to this heater, okay? To heat up the aquarium if the water temperature has fallen too far, okay? So your task right now, when I tell you to hit the pause button, is to determine, or to guess, if you kind of can't, you know, do your best, right? Again, I don't really care about whether you have the right or wrong answers, but I want you to kind of think about it and write down your best guess, okay? I want you to take a look at this example, think about it, tell me whether you think it's a local or a reflex control system, and whether you think this is tonic or antagonistic control. Okay, so go ahead and hit the pause button. Okay, welcome back. So we will be discussing your answers to these questions when we meet up in class, okay? So that basically wraps up this part of the lecture, more or less, just to give you a summary of what we have gone over with control of homeostasis, okay? We have local versus reflex control up here, right? So in local control, the response to a disturbance is controlled locally and it leads to local changes, right? So everything happens all in one place, okay? In reflex control, we have the response to a disturbance controlled by a distant integrating center. And I don't know if I said this already, but generally in the human body, that's going to be either the nervous system or the endocrine system, okay? So we have some disturbance that happens that's processed by some higher processing center that's far away from where that initial disturbance happened. And then that's going to lead to systemic changes, changes to your whole body. Okay. Now looking at the bottom here at tonic versus antagonistic control, again, I want to remind you that this really has to do with how that response is controlled at the target organ or target tissue. Okay, so in tonic control, we have the response determined by one output or efferent signal, right? So that one output is going to adjust up or down to give you a response that goes up or down. Whereas in antagonistic control, the response is determined by two competing output or efferent signals, right? So you're going to have two output signals kind of giving different signals to your target. Those guys are, what happens at the target is then going to depend on that balance of input that it's receiving from those two signals. Okay. All right, so that wraps up this discussion. This is our summary of learning goals and the vocabulary for this particular video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.